So, here's our Velotric Discover 2. And we've been riding this bike for over a year now. Not just on random weekends, it has become part of our weekly routine. Grocery runs, quick rides to the cafe, even some long Sunday rides when the weather was too good to stay indoors. Since we know the ups and downs of the bike, we just wanted to share what actually held up after a year, what started to age, and those small things that quietly surprised us over time. However, this isn't a review actually, this is our experience of living with this commuter bike. Now, let's start with how the bike itself has held up. The frame still feels sturdy and sleek as day one. We've kept it on every place possible, bumped into a few curbs, and yet there's no rattling or weird noises to speak of. Every time we hop on, it feels like a solid ride. Even the paint job surprised us. Sure, there are a few scuff marks here and there, but they're just signs of a bike that's been out and about, not locked away in storage. We have actually ridden the bike for a while, so it's impressive to see the weld still clean, the rack still tight, and no bends on the rear side. Though, let's be honest, not everything stayed perfect. The fenders? They developed a tiny wobble over time. We had to tighten them a couple of times. But, you know, considering the bumps and puddles we've thrown at them, it's not something we're upset about. They're still doing their job keeping the mud off us. One thing we kept an eye on was the battery life. When we first got the Discover 2, we could easily pull around 50 miles on pedal assist level 1. Now, after a full year of weekly rides, that number has dipped to around 40 to 45 miles. But honestly, we expected that. We usually plug it in twice a week, and the charging port? Still snug, no loose fittings or connection issues. The charging time hasn't slowed down either. It still takes about 5.5 hours to fully charge, just like it did on day one. And here's something we must mention. The battery indicator still stayed accurate. It never left us guessing or surprised us with sudden power drops. Sure, the battery doesn't hold charge like it did out of the box, but that's just part of riding an e-bike regularly. We never had a stranded on the side of the road moment. That's a win in our books. So, the riding? We know you have been waiting for this one. Well, the motor has been one of our favorite things about this bike. Even after a year, it still kicks in smoothly when we start pedaling. No jerks, no sudden jumps. We've mostly been riding on assist levels 1 to 3. It's good for city rides and occasional hilly streets. Thought we didn't ride on those streets, but we felt the assistance. And for those simple little city climbs, the Discover 2 just rode without any drama. The only thing that's changed? The motor has developed a slightly louder hum. Not annoying, just a reminder that the bike's been out there working with us. If we talk about the throttle response, it also remained the same, we think. Stayed sharp. And honestly, it's one of those things that makes city riding so much smoother. Now, let's talk about why we kept choosing this bike over others in our garage. Comfort. The seat that came with it? Still the same, still comfortable. We never felt the need to replace it with anything fancy. The upright handlebars have been a back-saver on longer rides. Even after a full hour on the road, we never got that hunched-over sore shoulder feeling. It just feels easy on the body. And the front suspension? It quietly kept doing its job. We didn't think about it much because it never became a problem. It absorbed cracks and small potholes like they're nothing, so no complaints from us for now. It's one of those features that just blended into the riding experience and made every ride feel smoother. So, anything left? Oh, the brakes and tires. Now, brakes are something we expected to tweak or change within the first year, but surprisingly, we didn't have to. The original brakes still grab strong enough. We made it a point to clean the rotors every now and then, which probably helped extend their lifespan. The tires, of course, wore down a bit, because they've been through a lot, city streets, uneven paths, and more. But not once did we get a flat tire. They've held up well, though we're planning to swap them out soon just for routine maintenance. However, everyday usability is where some bikes annoy you over time. But this is not the scene with Discover 2. The display screen? Still bright and clear, even under harsh sunlight. We've never squinted to check our speed or battery level. The control buttons? Still clicking perfectly. No mushy feel, no stuck buttons. It might sound minor, but when you're using a bike frequently, these small things really add up. Now, for the lights, the front headlight works fine, but it's not the best when riding in complete darkness. That's why we ended up adding a new one, the tow wheel D-Light 1700. The difference was night and day. We'll bring an in-depth review on the light soon, because there's a lot to talk about. Meanwhile, the rear light's functional, but not bright enough to fully trust on its own. We clipped an extra rear light for extra visibility. It's one of those small upgrades that we felt made the overall experience safer. Not everything stayed brand new, of course. Around the 10-month mark, we started hearing a soft creak from the pedals. A quick oil-up fixed it, but it was a little reminder that the bike had been through a lot of rides. The kickstand also became a bit wobbly. We tightened it up a couple of times and it's still standing strong, but we're expecting to replace it sometime next season. The grips lost a bit of their texture. Not dangerously slippery, but you can feel they're not as grippy as when we first got the bike. These are just normal signs of wear, nothing that made us frustrated. At the end of the day, what kept us coming back to the Discover 2 wasn't an extraordinary feature. It was the overall feel of it. The combination of reliable power, ride comfort, and simplicity made this bike an easy pick every time we needed to get somewhere. It became part of our routine without us even thinking about it. And when a product does that, it speaks volumes. So, if someone asked us today whether we'd still recommend the Velotric Discover 2 after a year of use, our answer would be yes. Because it's been a reliable ride for us all the way through. We hope sharing our real-life experience gives you a better sense of what it's like to actually live with this bike, not just look at specs online. Let us know if you have anything to say on the Velotric Discover 2. And make sure to subscribe to get more videos like this on your feed.